Hello everyone, welcome to Hiran's Wow. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to get things done and manage time effectively. As Geoffrey Shaw says, time and tide wait for no one. Imagine doing nothing productive during an entire day. It might not seem to be a big deal for some of us, but what if we scale it up to an entire week or an entire month or a decade? So this definitely calls for some sort of an action, right? Wouldn't you agree that it is rather important to maximize our time and be productive than being lazy and procrastinating? I came across an Indian stand-up comedian, Kanan Gill, who has his shows on Netflix as well. In one of his shows, he mentions about the importance of managing time well and balancing it out on different aspects of our life rather than just dedicating it to work. He also mentions about how much time we are only investing in doing our daily chores or only managing the basics and not actually living life fully. Happiness and satisfaction improves when we manage our time effectively and be more productive. My dad often keeps saying that the most expensive and valuable gift that we can give anyone is our time. And that's so true because unlike money, time cannot be borrowed, saved, or earned. Every second lost is lost forever. Now, let us look at how to get things done. The first thing is about setting realistic and achievable goals. If we are setting up our goals that are not achievable and overwhelming, it is rather hard to get there. Rather than that, breaking it down to attainable objectives and bite-sized pieces helps us to attain our goals better. In the book Ikigai, the Japanese secret to long and happy life, they mention how to attain the state of flow in the work that we do. And I think this can be possible by doing a SMART goal setting, that is having specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely goals. The next step is planning ahead and planning effectively. By planning, I don't just mean breaking it down to when to do it, but it is also about how to do it and why to. In the process of planning, we might actually realize that some tasks might not be our strong suit or something that we enjoy doing. In that case, it is first important to check if there is an alternative for it. If there is no alternative, then well, what I generally do is list out what is really frustrating me in terms of doing that tasks and also what is the motivation behind of completing that entire goal and how is it going to benefit me in the long run. For example, let's take a situation of getting a driving license. For some of us, taking the driving lessons itself might be an overwhelming step. The first thing to do in the steps I've mentioned is to first check if there are alternatives. If the country you're living in has wonderful public transportation system, probably you don't need a driving license in the first place. But if that's not the case, well, we might not have a lot of choice here. So it means that it's important to break it down, address the frustrations, and also give a reward system. That is, what if you get a driving license? Probably we can be more independent, drive by ourselves to the coast, and also be more safe in our own vehicle rather than exposing ourselves to more risk. So we can apply a similar breakdown process to any task that can be overwhelming and then making sure that we see the end of it. Now, it comes to the third step, which is one of the most important things, that is execution. So far, what we talked about is just a roadmap to make sure that we come to this step. And here, it is about identifying what could be the common traps. Either assigning too less of a task that we can do and doing it fast and having a sense of false accomplishment, or either overwhelming us with something that we cannot achieve. And how do we break this? First thing is by compartmentalizing. So breaking it down into what are different sets. For instance, if I give my example, I have my day job, Hiran's Wow, and my household works to do, and also my well-being. So this is how I compartmentalize and I assign 3 tasks each day to each one of them. And actually when I say 3 tasks, it's about something that needs to be done and not just a simple task which is very menial and which is not really important. So breaking it down this way gives us a sense of accomplishment on what we are doing and how we are achieving it. Here is where balancing comes into play. If at all I'm more overwhelmed in one section, I balance it out with the other two. Another most common trap is procrastination. I came across the book The Secret Garden, written by Nitin Kakarla. In this book, the author beautifully explains the causes of procrastination in a very witty and simple manner. In his poem, he named the city as Republic of Procrastination, which has a leisure lake, has a chain of mountains which are called chain of excuses, and also has a distraction forest. The illustration of this poem was done by Sarah Rose. And among the few books that I read about procrastination, I found that they beautifully captured most of the common traps of why we procrastinate. Well, knowing the reasons of procrastination, now let us look at how to actually overcome it. The method that worked wonders for me every single time was Pomodoro technique. For those of you who are not familiar with this technique, it is about having focused work sessions with very short breaks, which keeps us mentally more sane and focused. Francesco Cirillo, an Italian student, came up with this technique in 1980s, and it has become very famous since then. The beauty is in having focused times to complete a task and take a short break to refresh. Usually breaking the day into 4 to 5 Pomodoro cycles and having a longer break after the 4th or 5th Pomodoro cycle is recommended to refresh and get back to work. Here are a few methods coming from Alan Coulter from his book How to End Procrastination and Get More Done. On top of Pomodoro method, he also mentions about the battery method. This means charging our laptop fully if you're having to work on your laptop, and then going away somewhere else apart from our home or regular working place. It could be a cafe or a park, and making sure that we finish our work within the duration the battery is still there in our laptop. So this means that we are giving ourselves a limited time frame to finish a task, and then after that you could probably just chill there for a bit and then head back home. The next method from Ellen is about the blocks method. In this method, he explains about how do we need to actually compartmentalize and allocate a section of time in the week for each task. For instance, if we are doing our laundry every Saturday at 2 p.m., it means that that block is allocated for laundry, and over a period of time, it actually becomes a habit, and you know that automatically at 2 p.m. on Saturday, you need to do this particular task. So it's about making sure that we allocate separate blocks for each task until and unless it becomes a habit, and making sure that the things are done. And after the execution phase, it comes to the reward and recognition. Well, most of us, when doing a task, it is nice to have a bit of reward or recognition by ourselves. So self-validation is the best way to go. Knowing how well we did a task and giving ourselves a small reward is very complimenting. For instance, I tell myself that if I am doing yoga thrice a week, I get to walk by the lake for a day. But instead, if I was rewarding myself a burger, it would rather contradict all the 3 days of work that I'm doing. So it's important to reward ourselves right and do something that we really enjoy after accomplishing a task. Time management is not just about completing a task. It is about enjoying how we do it and also knowing our why. Time well spent is life well spent. If you have any other time management tips, do share in the comment section, and please do subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.